Hope is not a strategy. It's in the hands of the podcast gods now. Welcome to the Three Body Narrative. We are your hosts, Naeem, Aaron, and Pradyum, and we discuss everything pop culture, movies, TV shows, and games. And for today's episode, we're going to be discussing the F1 movie. Now, before we give our ratings and discuss about the plots, okay, first off, this is going to be slightly different because unlike our other discussions, only two of us on this podcast have watched the movie, and you'll soon hear which two. But before that, let's give you guys and girls and ladies and gentlemen and everyone else a brief synopsis.
But we're very inclusive like that. That's right.
We're very, very inclusive. Yes. So, in the 1990s, Sonny Hayes was a Formula One promising driver until an accident on the track nearly ended his career. 30 years later, the owner of a struggling Formula One team, Lawrence Stroll, convinces Sonny to return to racing and become the best in the world. Driving alongside the team's hotshot rookie, Sonny soon learns that the road to redemption is not something you can travel alone. Alright, guys, let's start with our ratings because I'm eager to hear what you guys thought, given that.
Is it Sonny or is it Sonny?
I didn't watch the movie, so I don't know.
Sonny, right? Yeah. So we clearly know who amongst us hasn't watched the movie.
Exactly.
Sonny would be this was Sonny Hayes. So yeah.
Really? They call it Sonny. Fine. Okay. This is hilarious because I'll talk about this little anecdote a little while later, but let's get to our ratings.
What's your review for the movie? You go first.
No. First let Aaron start this. We've clearly got a method in place, and let's not break it just for this movie. So Aaron, let's hear your thoughts. What did you make of the movie?
I thought it was a okay watch. Probably not one that I would have watched in theaters. But I'll start with my rating. I'll say I'll give it a 3 just because I think some of the acting was pretty good on it. It was, I'm not sure if you guys would have watched Moneyball, but it was a very Moneyball-esque movie. Yeah, in the sense where like a professional once has been or kind of washed up guy kind of returns to the sporting thing after many years and stuff like that way. So very Moneyball-esque. Again, that was also a Brad Pitt movie. So yeah. So quite a lot of similarities in terms of that. I think Brad Pitt did a good job with his character. I think forget the lady's name, but I think something Cordon or something like that with the Irish actress. She was pretty good with her role.
Kerry? I think Kerry, right? I think something with K.
I think so. It's something with a K. It's either Kerry, Kathy, something like that way. But yeah, she did a pretty good job. Yeah, so it was a nice movie. There were a few feel good moments, some kind of moments that kind of pulled on your heartstrings. But I think when I say that, I think pretty much every movie kind of does that. So it isn't really setting the bar very high on that. But yeah, it was a okay-ish movie. Would I recommend you watching it in the theaters? Probably not. But one that I think if it was on any of the streaming sites, I would tell you it is a nice watch to kind of catch. Yeah. But yeah, that's about it.
And which is why I never went to the theaters to watch it. I already knew, I could say, we have this telepathic, very telepathic relationship, whether it be football or F1 now. So I knew that you were going to recommend don't watch it in the theaters. That's why I never went for it. So I don't know I can't rate the movie, unfortunately. Now, if you're asking me why I probably didn't go for it is, I wasn't really keen on it. I know the reason for having such a movie was probably to, like the whole Drive to Survive series, to gain new audience, bring to light this crazy sport, Formula One, which the sport in and of itself I love. I mean, you guys know we watch and play F1 quite often. So I love watching it. I'm excited for every race weekend, and or rather, let's say that I haven't been a fan of the sport for a long time. So it's not like I watched it like closely during the late 90s, 2000s. I watched a few races here and there back then. I certainly knew most of the drivers, but the intricate details and the changes that happened, I only started watching it maybe 5-6 years ago. And I mean, part of it also driven by the Drive to Survive series, though post me actually following the sport, I realized what a total sham that entire series is in terms of the drama that they create, right? So I wasn't really excited when I heard that the movie is going to come out. And yeah, I mean, Brad Pitt's a good actor, and sure, I mean, the trailer didn't really get me hyped up enough for me to go to the theater. So overall, I mean, those were some of the reasons why I didn't watch F1 the movie. And I don't know, maybe I will catch it at some point when it does come onto the streaming platforms. Highly, and I was okay taking the chance of being spoiled, because I think these kind of movies tend to have a very usual plot and ending, unless something really off the ball, off the chart, and off the planet thing happens, and I'm completely blown away. So yeah, that's my 2 cents of why I didn't watch the movie, and that's why I can't really rate it. Naeem, we leave it all up to you. Your P20.
I'll start with the rating. I suppose so. I'm torn between like a 2.5 or a 3 for this movie.
Okay.
And the simplest way I can say why that is because Formula One, I mean the basic definition of Formula One is to kind of come up with the new formula and like find the best way to kind of uh like have the right mix to find that extra speed, right? It's about redefining existing understanding of vehicles or the know-hows of the motor show, or basically to understand how you can go better than before. I think here the formula is something that's tried and tested. It's something that's always been done in the past, and it's always about this protagonist that's had, has been in a way or has had a lot of potential, but for some reason things don't work out for that specific character, and then voila, there's like this change in fortunes. The man comes back in and then proves everyone wrong in certain ways, and then like goes on to win big, kind of a thing. So in a lot of ways it's that eh, underdog come like victory sort of a thing that's played, which is fine if like certain things that didn't seem too jarring, like without giving too much away. It just like having watched F1 again. I'm a fairly new fan. I've only started following the sport since the Max Verstappen Hamilton rivalry began, or at least when it peaked, is when I probably started like really got into
When it ended,
watching or following.
it basically ended after
When
that,
it
because
yeah,
after that we
basically when
really
he put an
never
end to it. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, pretty much. But yeah, so I think I would give it a 3 because I really like the performances. I have
Okay.
no uh, uh, doubts that the people didn't deserve to be cast as those characters, right? And they didn't do justice to those roles or anything like that. So there's some really strong performances, whether it be Brad Pitt for sure. Like and like Aaron mentioned, the Irish actress, even JP, which is the what's he?
The owner, technical
He's
director.
supposed to be.
No,
Sorry?
the kid.
No. He's the
Idris.
other guy.
JP
The
is
younger.
played by, I forget his first name, but Idris is the second name.
Okay,
Idris,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's the rookie guy,
Damson,
basically.
Damson
Right?
and Idris or something like that. Not Damon,
No
but
clue.
Yeah,
definitely.
something like that, I think.
Yeah.
My only problem with him is I think the emotional notes weren't as strong with him. Like that's what I felt. Because like I like the parts where he's trying to be a little quirky or like funny or trying to go at Sonny and stuff like that. But there was some really like key emotional moments that didn't hit when he should have hit. Like it didn't feel that way, kind of a thing. But I actually liked his friend better, in the way that whatever scenes he was given, he did a lot of justice to that specific role that he played. So all in all, definite. Like if this came on Netflix or something, I would definitely watch this and have a
Yeah.
good time with it for sure. No, it's not something like I can't, and I won't say like I'll never watch this movie again or something like that. It's purely from a perspective of what you truly know about the sport and what you get to see in the cinemas, like what's been put up to kind of appeal to the mass crowd, right? Like it's it's just very jarring for me from that perspective, and that's why I rated a 2.5 or a 3. It could have been better if, like, otherwise, see, even if the story is the same, it's like as long as it's entertaining and like the performances are strong, I think you can still give it an easy 3.5 at the very least. But I think that's what breaks, in the sense that it's just too far, like in certain sequences it's just like way out of where it should ideally be. And like I find it very hard that they, like, considering that they wanted to show how the F1 world works, the balance is not right, is what I felt.
I love
Again,
the
maybe
intro
the
though to
general.
your. No, I get it, but I loved your intro to your rating where you were kind of. I don't know if it's an analogy, but you kind of looking at how F1 really works with the balance really needing to be perfect in order to get pole position and win a race versus the movie not having that perfect balance. I don't know how long it took you to come up with such a thought, but kudos. It was very, very
Thank
well
you.
put. Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's a rare moment.
It's a rare moment, yes, and only something like an F1 or football would do that to you. Or
Perhaps.
Batman.
Oh yeah, certainly.
Yes. All right. So let's talk about the movie, guys. Now, I haven't watched it, and it's hilarious that to know that the guy's name is Sonny and not Sonny, because I mean, I think I would
I
have made.
think I can't remember correctly, but I think I do even remember them saying it as Sunny, though it was spelled Sonny. So yeah, now I'm confused.
Is it
Even
Sonny or
I'm
is it?
trying to recall. But I think it's
Wow.
Sonny. See, I know for sure one thing for sure. The rookie keeps calling him Sonny. Now, whether that's because he's British or
Uh,
whether that's I don't know. But I think it is. I think it is Sonny.
all right.
That's what.
Let us know in the
Um,
comments. Would you call him Sonny or would you call him Sonny? So the reason I also bring it up is because when I was in the UK, there's this place called ISLINGTON. Now, me thinking that I shouldn't mess up a pronunciation, I kept calling it Islington, and I told someone, "Oh, this person lives in Islington," and that person was like, "Do you mean Islington?" Right now, do you get what I mean? Like, if I go and say Islington, people would look at me like I'm some uncultured swine. Right? They'd be like,
yeah,
you are uneducated. How do you call it Islington? Like that's the kind of stuff that people get made fun of. Like we made fun of you for saying certain words back in school. Now I won't bring that up now, but I'm just saying that if I say Sonny, right, when 9 times out of 10 the person would be called Sonny, even if he does have an O, you can see why I made that mistake. If it is a mistake, by the way, I don't know. I haven't watched it, so I'll have to wait till it comes to this.
I do think it's Sonny because what's the guy who owns the race car, basically, like
the team,
team
the
Apex.
Formula One team. Ruben,
the
right? Like,
Formula One team.
yeah, what's his name?
Ruben.
Javier Bardem.
Javier Bardem, right?
Yeah.
Javier Bardem. I recall him calling him Sonny. Now again, these two
Yeah.
have very different. Of course, like UK has its own
pronunciation of
like, and the way they speak, of course, it's the same with Spanish people. So and Bardem is Spanish, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Kudos for that.
So.
Thank God you asked for the clarification and didn't just assume it. But yes, he is. Now, all right, let's get to. Oh, I should actually check that before we all claim that he is from Spain. But yes, he is. Yeah, he is.
Correct.
Yeah, he is.
Vicky Cristina Barcelona.
Yeah, that's
Barcelona.
From Barcelona. Yes, Javier Bardem's from
Welcome
Barcelona. Okay, so right now let's talk about the movie though. Now I want to know, because when this movie came out, it was meant to be like the closest it is to what F1 really is. They wanted to replicate the feel of the sport in such a way that they even had Apex cars come out and do, like, I think they were part of the formation lap at Silverstone a couple of years.
So I'll give them that. The race sequences, I think, are spot on to the, like, you feel it, in the sense, the tension and when those things are happening, and even though you know a lot of it is going to go Sonny's way, you still feel that tension, or at least I did. I don't know about Arit. In certain moments where I didn't know what's gonna happen next, kind of a thing. Like I expected something and it kind of turned something else in a way, and so from that perspective, yes, the tension, the way it's shot, you get the real feel, is what I thought. But it's the blatant abuse of rules that you see on display, in the way, and in ways in which it goes unpunished to a certain extent.
Isn't that like, what got you into Formula One?
Oh! Shot fired! Oh! Wow! Okay,
wow, that was perfect. But honestly, like, do you think this is the kind of movie that you'd probably want to experience in the theater? Given I've seen some of the shots, and some of the shots are very well done, where the camera's placed and you get to see the feel. Especially, I think with Spa, when he climbs up Eau Rouge and Radio, and it looks pretty intense. So, but does that, see, for example, Top Gun? Okay, let's take another really action-heavy movie, but I would say that despite the plot being usual and I could watch it in the on TV, I liked the fact that it was like in theaters you could feel like the magnitude or the the way it was shot, and I feel I'm just wondering whether does F1 give you that, or is it you're not missing out on much? Like I could still watch it in a good TV and still experience it.
So I kind of wish that there was a little bit more of that. So like you mentioned, like the Eau Rouge thing and stuff, really, I mean, they did a good job capturing that and stuff like that way. So those moments were kind of a little too far and few, like in the movie. But again, I think we need to kind of understand that the point of the movie was, I think, is to kind of, they knew that F1 kind of at the moment is a sport that has got a lot of new fans kind of enjoying the hype of the whole racing thing and strategy and stuff like that way. And so I think this movie was more about that rather than the whole, I mean, yes, it had a few of these action sequences and stuff like that way, but it was more kind of these things like a little bit of strategy and stuff like that, like how people try to skirt the rules for the benefit of the team. and stuff like that way. And
I'm intrigued to know what are these skirting of the rules. Like both
so
of you.
basically, I'm not kind of trying and pointing fingers at anything, but what I wanted to say is like they wanted to show the amount of thought that goes into racing. It's not just about having the fastest car or having the best drivers and stuff like that. Where there's a lot that goes into racing, and I think that's what they wanted to kind of show more than the whole brute strength or brute ability of the car. And so I feel that was captured quite nicely. uh, I think when you were comparing it to like Top Gun, I think Top Gun had a lot more in terms of the uh, like you had the dog fighting sequences and then the test runs that they did. uh, this didn't have quite as much. Like, for example, there was no qualifying in any of the races that they showed us. It was always that they started last, and I think one of the races there was like, oh, we sucked so bad in qualifying that we had unused tires. So, I mean, to those that have been following or have watched a little bit of Formula One, you kind of understand those kind of nuances, but I would have liked some part of qualifying or some part of like practice runs or something like that way. That would have been
Absolutely. I
nice
think
to, yeah. But yeah, like you mentioned, I think like Eau Rouge, and then like I think one of the crashes that he had, I think
One
was it
of
in,
the how many crashes were?
yeah,
Was he like Logan Sargent or
you have
something?
to watch it to find out. But I think it was at Las Vegas where he kind of like tries to go on the outside and he goes straight into the grill and stuff like that. Where those kind of sequences, they were nice to watch, but again, it just happened so quickly, and there were not enough. I mean, not enough crashes, but there was not enough race sequences per se. But what they showed was quite nice.
Which team do you think that Apex was trying to replicate, if at all they were? Like, if you're talking about what, like, did it seem like they were sort of hinting at some team in Formula One, or it just felt like something different?
I mean, I think it was like they took bits and pieces of multiple teams because you had like
all
terrible pit
the
stops, you
low,
had rubbish
yeah,
drivers, you had uh, infighting, and so it was like they kind of tried and nitpick, not nitpick, cherry pick the bad stuff of multiple teams, and like, this is the team we've created.
but perhaps I think the closest would be the Alonso and this one team up in a way, in the sense that
Ocon.
the one guy is a rookie and one guy is,
Oh,
well, Alonso is a legend. Obviously, he's achieved a
yeah.
lot. Here, Sonny is like someone who had a lot of talent but did not like go on to achieve it, and people think like he's past his time and all of that stuff, like this thing, and then he makes a comeback out of nowhere, and like things like
Okay.
change for him drastically, and all this experience that he's learned in the other driving challenges or races that he's had, whether I think they mentioned Dakar Rally and a
Okay.
couple of other I think he's in
Indy.
Daytona as well, right? Like in the beginning we see him
Yeah,
Daytona, Aaron.
yeah.
Yeah.
The
So
prior
all
to
of
being
that experience
recruited, he
kind of,
wins
yeah.
Daytona.
So all of that is like, and then he's come with that, and that is like driving him. And obviously, he's also not the same person. He's not as reckless. He's still reckless, but not as reckless as he was back in the day, I suppose,
Okay.
in a lot of ways. And
Huh.
perhaps that gives him an added edge over the other drivers in a certain. See, one thing is nice in the way that it's not a team that's at the 20th position and suddenly is like moving upwards on a regular basis, and then you're like, oh, they're a championship winning team or something.
Okay.
They just, like, to jump right to the end of the movie, they just have one very good race due to a lot of like different reasons, kind of a thing, and it just like comes together for them at the right point of time, in that. And that also, I think there is a little bit of skirting of rules, in the sense that In
Okay,
the way
want
I
to-
don't know, but
yeah. Please let me know what are these. Like you've mentioned skirting of rules too many times now. I need to know
Okay,
what kind of
so I
rules
think
have they broken in this.
okay, so Sonny is like technically a rookie in the sense that he's not been around F1 for the longest time. Okay,
Okay.
so he was this young brash kid who was like the next, say, Max Verstappen or like the Hamilton or whatever you want to call it, right? Depending on who your favorite is, right? And he had all of this talent, and he was racing at the time of Senna, Schumacher, and Ruben also was one of the racers at
Okay.
that point. Okay, so they
Okay.
all are from that era technically. Okay, so he's come out of retirement per se to come and achieve what he achieves during this movie. But when he initially comes into the play, right, and when he has his first race, there's like this thing of completely ignoring what the rules are and just like making it seem like because I've come into F1 directly from like not F3, F2, nothing like that. I don't know the rules exactly, which is why I'm making these mistakes, kind of a thing. And
Okay.
he's getting away with it, kind of a thing. And it happens.
I mean, more than rules, he kind of like, oh, I've not driven this car, and so I made a mistake. Or there was
So the
so
first race
one sequence was like, sorry.
First race.
it's the first race, right, where the wing keeps breaking off, or he
Yeah,
intentionally keeps
he
breaking the
intentionally
wing.
does it. Like I won't give that away because that's like pretty cool that they kind of threw one of the drivers under the bus. So perhaps you'll have to watch that.
Okay.
But one example was in the first race where they have the formation lap and he doesn't move. Everyone else has gone ahead and he doesn't move, and he's like, I have lost engine power, and the guy's like, you need to put it into gear or whatever that is. And he's like, oh yeah, got it. And so basically what he does is like he gives himself the the gap between him and the car ahead so he can warm up his tires so that he gets like a brutal start once the lights go out. So it was those kind of things that he does. And what you see in normal F1 is the use of the safety car and stuff like that way. Not for himself, but for his teammate and that kind of stuff.
So
Okay.
that's the thing. It's like he keeps breaking people's wings or his own wing his own wing multiple times he breaks.
This is like
And
you at
so
Monaco. This is like you in
just
Monaco.
so the other yeah, but that's a game, by the way, FYI.
Yeah.
Right? And he just wants his, like, he realizes he can't win it himself or whatever, so he wants his
It's you in
teammate to get
Monaco.
the
I
point.
understood. I understood. It's
He
you
wants
in
a
Monaco.
teammate to get the point. And like, it's obvious, like, if someone is sitting there and like watching this, they're like, dude, this guy is like fucking around just so that his teammate can win. Right? And this, in this whole sequence, screw this. Like, there's another race where they're both going and he's giving a tow to JP, the rookie, right?
Yeah.
And he gets the tow, and then he's supposed to like beat Max. Okay, only Max is the last one there. I think it was Max, right, Aaron? I think it was
Which
Max.
one is this?
The race where JP.
Ah, okay. Yeah, it was Max. Yeah.
Max, right? Yeah. So I think it was Monza, if I'm not wrong. Okay, so you know that straight you get, and then there's like this sudden turn kind of thing, right? So he gets a toe right till the end of that. Now, this guy Sonny tells him or warns him not to overtake until the last straight that he gets. Okay,
Yeah,
but
at turn one,
this
basically, you
being
said.
who he thinks, yeah. So this guy thinking that he knows how to do it or whatever, the rookie, he makes the mistake of trying to overtake him right before that turn. Okay, and he does overtake, but the thing is he can't decelerate in time to kind of avoid the turn, and he goes and goes and crashes and stuff like that. And
He
there's
bounces
this
out
sequence
of the
like,
race course
Oh shit.
yeah,
into the
he
forest.
does.
That is what is like
into the
amazing.
forest. Yeah.
Okay.
And Sonny gets out of his car, okay, and he runs to the flaming vehicle, and he almost tries to like try and grab him out of it. Then he asks the steward or whatever to give him one of the this thing, and he's the one like
To the
trying
extinguisher.
to bring extinguish the fire or whatever. It's like it's so out there kind of a thing. It's like yeah,
It is
but I mean
Hollywood. Yeah.
it's Hollywood, exactly, right? And yeah, but like the skirting of the rules, this is it. Like, I think anyone who sees that knows what they're up to, and perhaps is coming up with like multiple penalties to kind of just like say, yeah, that doesn't work. Because if one team starts doing this, any other team can start doing. I think one of my favorite moments
They
was
are.
when this whole wing thing, one of this when this was going on, in that second or first race, wherever the wings are being broken multiple times, right? You have the former Haas, uh, what's his
Gunter
name?
Steiner.
Yeah, Günther Steiner
Gunter.
there,
Oh, is
and he
that
keeps
all right?
looking
Yeah.
over. Yeah, he keeps looking over like, what the hell is wrong with your race car driver and stuff like that. And yeah, I think it's funny from that perspective, but you're like, oh my god, the rules are like completely being sidelined here,
And
and
what's
it's
the
like
like? Okay, so how many dialogues or how many scenes do actual F1 drivers get, if at all? Like, is there does anyone really get some sort of spotlight limelight?
Drivers no.
Okay.
nice.
Drivers no, but team principals. So Ferrari, McLaren, and someone else
Toto
was
comes
there.
and recruits
Oh,
this guy,
Uh,
JP.
yeah, that is towards the end. But there was the one this thing where then they asked Frank like, uh, "What do you think of Apex?" And he's like, "We don't think of them." At one of the press conferences or whatever conference that was.
Fred
Fred
Vasseur.
Vasseur. Fred Vasseur.
Fred.
Fred, yeah, my bad.
Yeah, yeah.
So he was there. The McLaren guy was there, and one more was there along with Apex. There were four of them. So, but I don't
Interesting.
remember.
But none of the drivers really get anything to
They
anything
get
much.
screen time, which is brief, but no, there was no dialogues for them.
While celebrating, you see these two, Russell and Norris, right, Aaron?
Charles
Yeah,
and
there was also one where Hamilton and JP kind of lock eyes or whatever
Oh, lock
before
eyes,
the
yeah. And then JP goes for
the red flag moment, and
Okay.
then there was one where technically Max kind of gestures at Sonny, whatever.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah, I think even Leclerc driving up in a Ferrari to enter the arena, there was something like that. Norris signing a couple of hats and stuff, but no dialogues.
Huh. Interesting. I saw that
oh,
one clip I
the
think online of that girl asking, can I meet Carlos in the
Yeah.
nightclub or something?"
yeah.
I remember. Then he's like, when that happened, everyone looked at me. I was like, oh, I was like, yeah.
Okay, so the main goal of the movie, by the way, is the survival of Apex in the way it
Okay.
is under the ownership of Ruben, basically. And Ruben has gone 3 years or something without winning a race, and so apparently
Without
you can
scoring a
use
point, I think.
earning a point. Okay,
Yeah.
forget winning a race.
We forget
Earning a
forget
point.
podium.
Okay.
Let's just get a point.
And is in the rules allow, if that the team has not scored a single point in over 3 seasons or whatever, they can force a sale for that team, and Ruben is in that position, right? So that's the goal. That's why he brings in Sonny, who's like a former colleague of sorts, a former friend in the racing background, and he believes Sonny can be that X factor. But the goal is basically he wants Sonny to kind of help train the rookie.
Okay.
Like he
Yeah.
still definitely believes that Joshua Pierce, JP, is the future, and he's got like a lot of potential and stuff like that. And the goal is to basically get Sonny to kind of help bring that out. Um, to a certain extent, that like Sonny sticks to that this thing. I think even till the end, his goal is like trying to push Joshua to win the race, which Joshua in true Hollywood fashion decides to throw it away because Hamilton has a chance of winning the race. So he's like, you know what? It's not you. It's not me.
That's
Fuck,
because
it's
Hamilton's
all
a
about.
producer. He's like,
There's,
screw this shit. I
there's,
can't win in real life. I'm
there's
gonna win it.
no what's that word he uses? There's no risk or there's no reward without risk, or there's like chaos or something and then he rams into Hamilton or something like that, right? That's what happens. Like the tires get this thing and then they both crash. That's
Yeah,
what I
neither
remember.
of them back out basically. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
And then they go
Now,
into the one of the turns and then they're like both out of it, and then that gives like, instead of anything else like being on the like shit what the fuck happened, he's like go, this is your time Sonny, this is your time and stuff like that. And I'm like, this is like that come on Sanju moment from Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar.
there we go. That's the Bollywood connection. I was
Okay.
waiting. I was like, he's not said Chuck Day in the start. He's not said any of these
Oh,
sort
there
of.
is, by the way, FYI, my God, the amount of Bollywood in this movie, in a way, is all Ruben's role, by the way. In the way he's like there, and it's all up to God now, and like it's all up to the racing gods now, and like, oh, he's doing some Sonny Hayes thing or something. He's doing being like Sonny or something. And like Sonny's this guy, like Ruben, by the way, himself is like one of those racers who's done well in his career or whatever, I suppose. Not like great or something, but he's been had a decent career in this thing. And he's talking extremely highly of Sonny Hayes, who was supposed to be, but then crashed out and stuff like that. And like, but he's doing Sonny thing. Like Sonny can make things happen, kind of a thing. So that's a little bit like, I don't know, man. Like it's too much at times, but okay, that's.
What are the other jarring things that you mentioned? Because you said there are certain things which are quite jarring.
So rules, the way they're like completely toppled over, I suppose. The way he falls in love with his race engineer or whatever.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of negativity as to how women are shown in the movie, or like in the sense that it's just like she's meant to be smart, but she's then involved in this romantic thing because she's because they want to show some romantic.
See, that's one thing. Like, did the movie really need it? I don't think so. Like, it could have been fairly this thing if they just had that relationship where it's like, they kind of respect each other, but it's like I don't know what's the right word for it, but it's like
mutual enough, like a professional relationship, right? Is what you're saying?
Yeah, professional for sure. It didn't have to be friendly at any point, to be honest. Anything. It's just like they had that sparring moments and stuff like that, which is like normal for you to not be on the same page and stuff like that. And I think that would have been a better way to go, as opposed to kind of getting into a relationship and just like this girl is trying to like really build her career in this, and like she's one of the first ones, I think, in who's like a. She's not a team principal, but I think she's like a main.
She's a technical director.
Technical director, yeah.
Yeah, technical director. Yeah.
So yeah, I think
she's the only female technical director or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And even the other support staff that's there, like there's one girl who's there. The way like, and she messes up in one of those scenes or whatever, and the way that's focused onto like the way the JP kind of goes at her in a way, like figures or whatever and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, I'm not sure if you really need all of that in this movie, to be honest. Like it doesn't, I don't know, sit well, I suppose. But all in all, I think that, and even the story, man, like there's just so much of it. Like I think the things that he's gone through, Sonny and stuff like that, and again, like coming back, and he's training like old school. Okay, he's throwing tennis balls, and he's like, that's how he is. this thing, right? And you've got like these race car drivers with the thing hooked onto the neck, and they're like doing all of that stuff, right? Like with the weights and stuff like that, and all of the new this thing, and somehow he's still like the
Old school.
again, like there's some sort of context in there that it's not that like if you gave them the exact same cars, then he like goes one better than Hamilton or one better than Charles or something like that. It's not trying to this thing. It's just that it's his time. It's his day, so it all comes together for him from that perspective. And I think that is what makes this movie believable to a certain extent. Very, very that extent is like that small, but it's like okay, that's the only this thing. So it's not like suddenly they're like the best team in there.
Yeah.
Fighting with Mercedes and Ferraris and Red Bull and whatever, like McLaren or whatever. But there's still that low-lying team. They just needed that one win, and they managed to get it by hook or crook.
Have they used a lot of
also
footage from
use that early used formula of like there's a mole in the team kind of a thing and stuff like that, like in the sense that someone like they find this way of getting the car to get into combat mode, as they call it, on the turns. Okay, so they go into combat mode, we go into combat mode and stuff, like we keep talking about combat mode, and in that combat mode they keep like overtaking cars and stuff like that. They become really good, and suddenly one of the more competitive cars on the grid, right? And suddenly I think when they have like a upward turn where they start scoring a lot of points, there is a anonymous tip or report that goes to the FIA.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to investigate. They come and investigate and stuff like that, and they put some hold where it's like you can't use this model of car until the investigation is over.
Yeah, okay, that upgrade. Okay.
We need to go back to the previous approved version. So then they have to use the old cars which are not performing.
And it's actually someone from inside who's sent that tip.
Yeah, okay. It just happens to be this one partner who apparently was on Ruben's side and wanted Ruben to retain ownership, whereas he actually wanted the sale to happen so that he could take over the control of this thing. And he offers Sonny to be one of his main what is the word he uses?
Race strategist.
Race strategist. So yeah, I mean that whole mole thing and stuff like that is like, again, like it's Hollywood, so like at some point it feels like Bollywood. So I don't know. It's just very weird. Like, but honestly, when Ruben scenes were happening and he's in the stands and he's like, in a way praying for Sonny to kind of get through or win or whatever, it just felt like, my God, there's so much of, I don't know. It's like this, not praying like that, but like it's like up to the race God now, or he's like muttering something or something, murmuring something, stuff like that. It just feels like, oh my God, this feels Bollywood to me, kind of a thing.
Have they used any real life footage of races that happened without, like, any of the races that took place? Did they use any sort of footage or radio, or do you remember any
I think
famous?
You would know this best if you watched it. Yeah, I couldn't kind of.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't enough to kind of say, okay, this was from that race, because it was just basically cars going into corners and stuff. So, and it wasn't anything that was like stand out in terms of like there was a crash or anything like that. So, very difficult to tell that way. In terms of radio, no, there wasn't anything. Only radio talk that they really showed was between these two drivers and their team. So yeah, there wasn't much.
Interesting. All right. Anything else that we're missing out on in terms of the movie, or anything that you'd want to sort of
I think
discuss?
one thing that was kind of weird, which maybe it was just lack of time or whatever, but there was, in the last race, they kind of show Sonny being like a little bit affected by his previous injuries or something, where like he was getting like double vision and stuff like that way, which was weird because they show him getting into the car and he's all groggy and stuff like that, and then suddenly he wins the race unaffected, and you're like, so then why did you need to show us the double-sightedness if it was not going to affect him at any point?
He
Which,
had to
Oh.
I mean, maybe
He overcame it in
I
like a
don't
minute.
know where they wanted to kind
Abu Dhabi
of
lights
meet.
set him right.
Yeah, it was a little odd because even there was a part where like Ruben goes to him and visits him in the hospital. Like, oh, if I knew that this was the uh, side effects of your previous crash and stuff, I would never have let you race. And that was the only time we knew that there were any side effects that he had. And then after he says that, then they show him having double-sighted vision and stuff getting into the car. You're like, oh, okay. It's like you mention it and it triggers the symptoms or something like that.
Hey, you
But
look
that was
sick.
kind of odd.
Yeah.
But I mean,
It was buried
I
deep
don't
in
think
his
it
myth.
added anything to the movie, and I didn't care enough for it to take away anything from the movie either. So it was just there for the sake of it.
Apart from more action scenes or race sequences, like what else do you wish that could have been done from real life F1? Like, so because like, do you think there was enough of did they show what an F1 driver's life is? Like, did they show like the partying side and the life that they live,
Bits
the
and pieces. I think
extravagance?
you see that
Yeah.
from JP's experience.
Hmm.
You see a little
Yeah,
of the interviewing.
they show
and-
the conflict basically between uh, like you are in that kind of dilemma whether you kind of embrace that social lifestyle or do you focus more on your driving thing. So they kind of touch on that a little bit, and also like how you're always a little bit wary of the different settings that your teammate has or the different type of training that your teammate does, and whether are they doing something better than you and that kind of stuff. So that stuff they showed, but again, I think because they didn't have enough time and they had other priorities, it's a little bit difficult to squeeze more of that in. But yeah, you do get a general sense of what it is like where you're technically a team but you're also competing with each other, which, just to embrace Naeem's Bollywood comparisons, as always, it's like how Chak De you have those two strikers competing with each other to get the most goals in the World Cup. So they're constantly, I mean, Sonny's character is not really interested in one-upping JP, but JP is kind of trying to prove himself because he's like this young up-and-comer.
Yeah.
So you see that sort of competitiveness. I just remembered it's similar to like what was the story mode thing in F1? What was
I was
it?
about to
Racing
say,
Point or
does it
something?
remind you of Breaking Point? Like, I think there
Breaking
also
Point.
you had like a rookie versus a veteran in the first Breaking Point, right? I think
Similar in the sense, but I think it is again in Breaking Point. I think both of them are trying to compete with each other, whereas Sunny's focus was more the team and trying to help Ruben kind of achieve
Sonny's
some sort of success to save the team.
his
I think
focus was
JP
the
was more
technical
in it for
director.
himself.
Yeah. Sonny's focus was the technical director and not anything
Mm.
else.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I wanted to actually ask about Breaking Point, but I don't know how many of you actually played Breaking Point because I think there were 2 or 3 of them that had happened. The last one, I don't know how many of you have watched previous other racing movies because I really like, Rush was
Yeah, Tararam Pam.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Because Rush was really nice. I
Yeah, there
really
are
loved.
comparisons, by the way. He drives a cab apparently at some point, Sonny Hayes. Just the same thing that in Tara Rampam Saif Ali's character does when he screws
Yeah.
up at racing. So definitely, and that also happens after a crash, mind you. There are some hints of inspiration being taken from Bollywood in this movie. Just FYI.
Yes, well, if A Star Is Born is a direct copy of Ashki 2, then of course. Now, okay, but I mean, compared to some of the other racing movies that we've seen in the past, whether it be, I don't know if you guys have watched Rush, then there was Ford versus Ferrari, and I'm pretty sure there was another couple of ones. Look, I can't seem to remember, but where does this sort of rank
What
in
is the
terms
one
of
with Tom Cruise in it? Daytona, that has Daytona or NASCAR racing. 12 Days of Thunder or something like that? What is it?
I
maybe
know there's
old.
thunder in the title of the movie. I don't know the name of the movie.
It's something like that. I think
Okay.
I mean I've seen that early on, like when I was
Yeah,
young.
it's
I don't
Days of
recall much.
it's Days of Thunder, not 12
Days of
days. So
Thunder.
yeah, so
Yeah.
take out the
12
12.
came from something. Okay.
So
Days of
12,
Thunder.
yeah, I know. So yeah, it's where does this sort of rank in terms of your car?
I don't think it
like
comes anywhere close to Ford versus
close.
Ferrari.
Yeah.
No chance. Rush, I don't know.
Have
Rush
you
was
watched
an
Rush?
okayish.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's been a while, and to be honest, there's nothing that has kind of stuck to me. So I'll have to probably rewatch it to make a comparison. But I
Maybe
know
that should
Days
be.
of Thunder was a pretty good movie when I did watch it. So uh, yeah, I maybe with could compare it to Rush. Can't remember any at the moment, but yeah, nowhere close to Ford versus Ferrari or Days of Thunder in my mind.
Ford versus Ferrari, like it's not even worth mentioning in the same breath for sure. Like absolutely not. It like the story is so much better. There's actual. It's a film to say the least.
Okay.
This
This
is
is
like marketing for F1 basically in the best way possible to people who are not already a fan of the sport,
yeah.
and probably the only way to kind of appeal to them to kind of start following the sport, I suppose, or at least Drive to Survive at the very
Yeah,
least.
I think Ford versus Ferrari and those other movies kind of have like a story which they kind of stuck to. This one, I think, I mean, the actors' performances apart, which those were some good performances. I think the story was a bit lacking, where you kind of tried to figure out what are they basically trying to achieve. Is it like a redemption arc for Sonny? Is it like this is what F1 is about? It it was kind of like a mix and mash, which in the end I don't think really ever achieved either of the two. But yeah, it was an okayish movie. I don't think it was bad in terms of, I would say, don't watch the movie, but I would say just wait it out, and once it's on a streaming site, then go for it.
awesome. Yeah. All right. So I guess with that, we conclude our discussion and review of F1, the movie. I wish they titled it a little better, but yeah, F1, the movie it is. Maybe there's going to be F1, the sequel. Or whether there is. Is
Yeah,
there any sort of hint that there would be a sequel
yeah.
or
It
yeah,
won't be F1 though.
F2?
Because he leaves F1 immediately. He wins and he's like, I don't want a title, nothing. Like I'm just gonna be on my way, kind of a thing. But like he doesn't pick up the title, by the way. He asks them to hand it over to Ruben because it's
Yeah,
his title.
they kind of hint at it in the starting, right? He's like, it's bad luck to touch the trophy,
That's the trophy.
even
Yeah.
even at Daytona. So
Okay.
yeah.
Interesting.
So
I
he
mean,
does not touch it.
I don't think Max, Charles, Hamilton, anyone that follows that because they're like, I'm not touching this trophy. Bad luck.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But he immediately leaves this thing and heads to somewhere, I don't know where in the
Dubai.
world.
After Abu
There's
Dhabi, like
some sort of
Dubai.
desert, not Dubai for sure, where they have uh, racing in the
Dakar Rally,
desert.
no? That's the one.
I thought that was so. That's the thing, right? But he's already been a part of Dhaka, so why would he then go back? Oh, unless he's not won in Dakar and now he wants to go back and win in Dakar as well. So it's like, now I'm gonna go back second round and win titles in each and every one where I didn't win first time.
And Dakar also, he can do a lot of shady stuff. It's all on the sand. He can hit someone and fall into
Just
the sand. Yeah.
take a
Yeah. All right. So I guess that's it for our review. We will catch you all on the next episode. But don't forget to leave a like, share with friends and family, subscribe to the channel, and do let us know what other movies, TV shows, and games we should be reviewing. And we'll hope to do that soon. But I guess until then, that's it from the Three Body Narrative. We are your host, Pradyumna and Naeem, and we'll catch you on our next episode. See you.